All right, it's time once again for a beer, rum, and rock and roll rock shot. It's that time of year again. We're going to discuss the nominees for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, whether you think the Hall of Fame is a joke or not, either way, it sparks some spirited discussion, as always.
I'm really done calling this the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like,
Oh, here we
every
go, right
year,
off the top.
every year it just starts, the list comes out and you're going, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Okay, dude, I'm going to rattle off the list and then we're going to go through them one by one and give our thoughts. We got Mary J. Blige, Kate Bush, Devo, Foo Fighters, Go-Go's, Jay-Z, Chaka Khan, Carole King, Fela Kuti, LL Cool J, New York Dolls, Rage Against the Machine, Todd Rundgren, Tina Turner, Dionne Warwick, and last but not fucking least, Iron Maiden. So let's go through them one by one. Give your thoughts on, let's start right at the top. Mary J. Blige. It's not rock and roll to me.
Not even close.
That's it.
Not even close.
Right? If you want to call it the Music Hall of Fame,
Perfect.
great. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and this is not rock and roll. Okay, next, Kate Bush. Great voice. I don't know her music very well. I know of her, and I know a lot of people love her. I never got into her music myself, so I'm on the fence with that one. I'm kind of whatever. Sure.
I ran up that hill to see Kate Bush, if you remember the song.
That's the only song I know, I think.
Right. And yeah, she's got an attitude to her that is kind of rock and roll, and she's done some stuff with Peter Gabriel, and she's in the neighborhood, but still shouldn't have got a ticket to the dance, in my opinion. There you go.
Up next, we got Devo. I'm not a huge Devo guy. I know a handful of songs, but apparently they're super influential. But they were never really that big over here. I like a few tunes. I'm okay with that pick. Again, that's not a hill I'm dying on.
Not my thing, that mod kind of pop music that, again, it's more pop than it is rock to me in some ways. The synthesizer, I mean, it's questionable.
Again, it doesn't piss me off, but I'm not quite there either. Okay, Foo Fighters. For me, worthy? Absolutely. First time in the ballot? No way. There's a ton of bands that should be in before them.
A question about that, because I am sure they're going to get in at some point, if not this round. When you got a first ballot type of situation and some of these names on here that may get in on first ballot, I'd rather see him in on first ballot than any of these others. So I'm good with this pick because they keep doing great music and it's not resting on their laurels at all.
Right. No, I agree. They're deserving, but it's too soon. I just think it's too soon. That's all. Okay, Go-Go's. This is a no-brainer. They should be in. They should have already been in. This is a no-brainer. Ton of hits, paved the way for a lot of female artists. If you're not convinced of this, watch the documentary. It's really good on them. Came out last year. This is a no-brainer. They should definitely go in. That's what I think.
I'm stuck on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame business here. They were a pop female band, like a pop band. They weren't did you get a rock band out of them with Our Lips Are Sealed and Vacation and whatever those tracks were?
Well, it's pop rock, I guess, right? It's not heavy, but it's definitely, this doesn't annoy me like hip hop or something. It's in the zone.
I guess.
Okay, up next, Jay-Z. Not rock and roll. No, that's it. I don't have anything more to say. It's not rock and roll. It's rap. It's hip hop. No. Ditto.
You know my answer on this. Of course not. This is not happening. But to your point, it's not rock and roll.
Chaka Khan. I'm familiar with some of her stuff. I think she's talented, blah, blah, blah. She's been nominated a few times. Put her in if you're going to put her in. Like I don't know how many nominations she's had, but she's been on this list a few times. I have got no horse in this race. If she gets in, I'm not great. If she doesn't, whatever. But again, it's not hip hop. It's in the zone, but make up your mind is what I think on that one.
Yeah. And there's things about respect for an artist is one thing. Like you respect the attitude of the Go-Go's and what they did. Or, a lot of people like Chaka Khan and a lot of great players want to be involved with her. But rock and roll says one thing to me, and that ain't it.
Well, she's good enough for Prince, so it's good enough for me.
Right.
I'm picking my battles.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
You see what I'm saying? Okay.
I hear you.
Carole King. I mean, who doesn't own Tapestry? I mean, it's iconic. She's a great songwriter. I have no problem if she gets in.
Those influential albums from the 70s that, yeah, like you say, everybody had or seen it, like visually can picture it in their head. That's worthy of something. Yeah, for sure.
The next one is Fela Kuti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'd never heard of the guy, obviously. It's African world music. He's this jazz, funk, African cat. Is it rock and roll? I don't know. I've never heard of the guy. That's my story. If I haven't heard of him, well, come on.
There it is, right? They should already be somewhat household names, and they should be in line with rock and roll. Then they get in, right?
Up next, we have LL Cool J, who I believe has been on this list before. Again, this is not rock and roll music. No. Get your own hip hop Hall of Fame. This is on repeat. We say this every year.
I'm not repeating it. Done.
No.
Boo.
Okay. Next, New York Dolls. Super influential punk band. We all know if you're into rock music. Big impact. And you can debate whether they should get in or not because they only put out 2 albums. But of course, On the Curve, in.
Right.
Definitely in.
Right. There's no question. The scene was so short-lived, but it was gritty rock, punk rock, with all kinds of attitude and weirdness and what we love about rock and roll, right? Back to the Go-Go's. This filters way better for me than any pop act that might have had a bunch of hits, which they didn't, but they had all the attitude that we love to embrace about rock and roll, and they should be in.
Influence is a huge criteria, and they've got that in spades, right? Yeah, I mean, we're going to gravitate to the music we like. I mean, it's not like I'm kicking around listening to the Go-Go's, but I do respect what they did.
Sure.
Okay, up next, Rage Against the Machine. I love this band. Are they worthy? Abso-fucking-lutely. They've been nominated before, too. But again, they're in the too soon category for me.
Right.
They can wait. They can fucking wait. That's what I think.
Here's my thought on the waiting is the hardest part, just so you know.
To quote Tom Petty.
Is if you wait too long, then people like Mary J. Blige are going to get in. They should be in, 100%.
Right. So, yeah, speaking to this list, I get it. But when you fan it out to the people who aren't in the Hall of Fame, that's what I mean by they can wait. Like I could rattle off 10 bands that deserve it now.
If they're there and it's rock, get them in there. Fucking now, right? Okay.
Okay, I can't argue with that.
Right.
All right, man. Up next, Todd Rundgren. Now, this guy, I'm embarrassed to say, other than a couple of hits he had, I don't really know his music. For some reason, I never got into the guy. So I can't really comment on that. I just know he's a big time producer. Like this guy deserves to get in for that alone. Like he's been around a long time, definitely worthy of getting in. No question.
Definitely. And back to the cult following, there's people that follow him around throughout the world. Like it's not like, oh, if he comes to town, I may get the ticket. Oh, is he in Amsterdam this weekend? Maybe I'm going to head over there and catch Rundgren. You know, these are special cats. And I'm sure you heard the soundtrack to Dumb and Dumber, which was Todd Rundgren.
That's right. It was too. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, he produced Bat Out of Hell. The production on that album is phenomenal. You know that guitar on the title track that sounds like a fucking motorcycle? He did that, hey?
Did he?
It's just wicked. Yeah. And it's not a motorcycle. It's a guitar, man.
It's a guitar.
He did that shit.
Yeah.
Moving on from Todd, Tina Turner. Abso-fucking-lutely in.
That's not a question.
I can't believe she's not. I mean, the Ike and Tina stuff alone. She's an icon and she should be in. Pioneer, icon, in, all day long. Dionne Warwick. Here's my deal on this. She's a great singer. And do I like easy listening once in a while? I do. I'll admit it. Like I have some of her stuff. I'll listen to Burt Bacharach and Barry Manilow. I've got Manilow next to Manson in my collection. That's just how I roll. Is it rock and roll? It seems pretty light. I mean, is Barry Manilow getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I doubt it.
Of course
right?
he will. Of course he will.
If this is
any sort of indication over the last 5 years, 10 years that we've been seeing this kind of go down a slippery slope, sure he will. Or get nominated. Again, if you want to call a easy listening Hall of Fame or ballady pop or smooth jazz pop. Well, I don't know. Throw a few together. Smooth jazz pop.
Smooth Jazz Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's getting pretty compartmentalized, eh?
I do know the way to San Jose, but I don't know the way that this is ever going to work for me, that Dionne Warwick gets into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And I'll admit, I like that song. When I hear that song, I just start smiling and doing this.
That's a song. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. The best for last. There we go. There it is. Iron fucking Maiden finally gets a nomination after 16 years waiting. See, now if Iron Maiden can wait 16 years, the Foo Fighters and Rage can wait a little bit longer. That's what all I'm saying. They've been eligible since 2004. This is a no-brainer. But what scares me a little bit is Priest was nominated twice and didn't get in. The odds of them getting back on the ballot are slim, and they should be in before these guys, but that's a whole other thing. They should be in. There's no doubt they should definitely be in. They should have been in 16 years ago.
If Priest isn't in, I don't see Maiden getting in.
The list is always aggravating every year, but there was a time when the metal wasn't anywhere near the list. This is refreshing in a way that metal is finally getting in there. They used to not even be in the debate. Here's another interesting thing about Maiden though, dude. You know, we always talk about, when the band gets in, who gets in? As a band member, which guys get in.
Yeah.
Here's the down low on this. So what do you think about this? So Paul Di'Anno gets in, absolutely should.
Sure, he should. Yeah.
Hands fucking down should.
Right on.
Here's where it gets weird.
I know where you're
Dennis
going.
Dennis Stratton played guitar on the first album. Okay.
Uh-huh.
He gets in. Blaze Bayley, who sang on 2 Iron Maiden albums, and I'm not into it, besides the point, is not getting in. That makes no sense. I don't think either one should get in, is what I'm saying. But if one gets in, they should both get in. That's bullshit. That's what I got to say about that.
I agree with you on the fact that they shouldn't be in. I think Paul should be, but that's it. Like, I don't want, what's the new guitar player's name? I don't want him in.
Oh, dude, he's going to get in. Mr. Yannick Gers will be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's going to maybe fuddle-a-duddle-a-duh across the stage after he wins his award. He's going to do his Lord of the Dance across the stage.
Oh, my God.
Here's what might prevent Iron Maiden from getting in. I got a couple Bruce Dickinson quotes for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
He doesn't give a shit, I'm sure.
He says, and I quote, "The Rock Hall is an utter and complete load of bollocks run by a bunch of sanctimonious, bloody Americans who wouldn't know rock and roll if it hit them in the face." That's the first one.
Yeah.
And here's another one. "I'm really happy we're not there, and I would never want to be there. If we're ever inducted, I will refuse. They won't bloody be having my corpse in there." Now, my only comment on that is, I'm pretty sure if they got in, Bruce wouldn't show up by what I just read here. But I would bet anything, somebody from that band showing up and picking up a trophy. I fucking almost guarantee it. Because what they do, like let's say Kiss, right? They're doing this with the Hall of Fame before they got in all the time. We don't care. Fuck you. We don't give a shit. What do? They show up, pick up their trophy and leave. And what do they say all the time? Well, we're not here because we want to be. We want to be here because the fans want us to be here.
Yeah.
I guarantee that Iron Maiden shows up. Maybe not Dickinson, but Steve Harris is going to show up for that.
I'd like to think that they won't, because honestly, I'm kind of tired of talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I really am. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a joke, and I'm not interested in spending too much more time questioning its impact or its importance. It was always kind of a joke, but now it's almost painful, really, to me.
Well, it's just painful if you're into hard rock and metal. It's definitely painful. But I mean, you've watched it. There's been some awesome stuff on there. And I saw an interview with Foo Fighters. They couldn't be happier. They're 3 feet off the ground about it. So it just depends who you're talking to. I think it's the ones who are angry about it aren't in yet. That's what I think. When they get the call, their attitude change. Even Trent Reznor admitted, you know what? This is special. He did a full 180.
What's he going to do?
This is what I'm saying.
Again, awards already itself are kind of an opportunity to be pissed off, because you're going to have winners and losers. And then you're going to have situations like this where certain people decide the fate of others. It's not about the awards at all. It's all it is about is getting together with your peers and having a good time. But what I get from other people, like Steve Miller summed it up pretty good. You know what I mean? It was like, not only don't do that, but you got to pay exorbitant amounts of money. It's not a celebration. It's a racket. And the racket is being exposed every year when I see shit like this. So that's my two
But
cents.
to my point, just being devil's advocate, Steve Miller showed up. Yeah, he showed up and bitched, but he still showed up. He paid what he paid and he showed up. If you really want to stand by that, you don't show up.
Agreed. And I think that's important. I think it's slowly going to get there where people aren't going to show up. That are just going to
I don't know, man. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, who do you have that didn't show? The Van Halen brothers didn't show. Blackmore didn't show. Tom York didn't show. It's a short list compared to the ones that show up. That's all I'm saying.
I think people have a hard time letting go, and they should let go of this. They should let go of this.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun to talk about, Give me your 6 that you think should get in.
I'll give you my 6. Foos, Maiden, Dolls, Rage, Rundgren, Turner.
As a rock guy, that's the list, right?
Right. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Randy.
Right. But this is maybe more realistic, perhaps. It's not necessarily where my heart is. The Go-Go's, Carole King, New York Dolls, Rundgren, Tina Turner, Maiden.
See, I expect, this is my predictions.
Okay, this is what you think is going to happen.
This is what I think is going to happen.
Right.
Devo, Jay-Z.
Yep.
Tina, I'm pretty sure she's going to get in, and Rundgren. So those 4. And then maybe Carole King, and if we're lucky, the Dolls.
See, I think if past is any barometer, you're right. They like to hit the genres, right? So Jay-Z, for example, Grohl is the fucking rock poster boy. They're getting in first time. That's what I think.
And I'm good.
Yeah.
He walks
good at them
and
getting
talks
in.
the rock all his life. And that's rock and roll, baby. Right there.
I am not arguing that, but where's Motorhead? Thin Lizzy, who's been on the ballot. Why aren't they in? Foreigner definitely should be in. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Before the Foos and before Rage, but like you said, hey, I'll take it. Right? Yeah. Just to hear Grohl's speech would be enough,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He gives a good speech.
Yeah.
I saw him. I saw the boys, the Foos. I saw him on Stern, a little clip, and Stern asked him who they'd want to do the induction. So as we all know, when the Foo Fighters started, it was Dave Grohl played all the instruments and he did that demo cassette. Okay.
Yeah.
That was that first album. It was all Dave.
Yeah.
There was no band. It was all Dave, but he didn't want people to know it was Dave Grohl. So he had to make up a name so people didn't know it was him because he didn't want that Nirvana pressure. So he called it Foo Fighters, wrote it on the cassette, blah, blah, blah. His inspiration to do that was a CD he bought or a cassette he bought when he was younger called Clark Kent. And it was Stuart Copeland from The Police. It was him. So that was his inspiration to do that. So he wants Stuart Copeland to do the induction. I thought, hey, that'd be fucking cool.
Oh, drummer. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, Randy, go get some sun and think about what rock and roll really means. And then we'll talk later. Go Maiden!
Woo.
Okay, buddy. Peace out.
Cheers.